It's Thursday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's time for another video. It's Thursday. Yeah, yeah. Shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. The cold is back. You know what's the irritating part? The last video that I posted, I made the video 5 days before I posted it, and during that video and this video, this entire time I didn't have any cold, but now it's back. It's I for those who commented about, well, didn't comment directly, messaged me about whether I took soup or not. I have not. I am sorry. You are on the same side as my wife. She is saying the same thing. I will, I will do it today. I promise. With that, let's move on. The two people that messaged me and said they liked it, thank you. And one of them proposing that I should do it a weekly thing. Well, here it is. I'm going to do it. I will do my best to post a video every Thursday. And since some of you actually like the whole idea of somebody from across the world telling their story, okay, today is Star Wars. My love for it, and most importantly, how I got into it. Everybody has their own Star Wars story of how they got introduced to it, what made them love it. This is mine. To give a bit of history of how Star Wars got involved in my life, there are a few key things I feel I should talk about first. Number one, the fact that I'm not a Westerner. I come from a pre-colonized world, third world country. Movie culture is not a, how do I say this? Movie culture has become only mainstream and big, if you will, in my country in the last decade. Since MCU, that's pretty much the best way you can time it. From MCU's Iron Man time, it kinda picked up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Second, when I was growing up, movies like getting your hands on movies like Star Wars, Top Gun, Jaws were hard. They were not that easy to come by. Most rental shops would have those really, B grade, C grade films, and the big video shops would have the high quality, not high quality, but like the blockbuster films. And they would charge extra for those. Like, you couldn't rent a lot of them, you had to buy a lot of them. A lot of them, they were the copies from the original. None of us ever sold, they never even sold original copies. Original copies were, they were kept to make copies of. Like, you would go to the video shops, you know how a lot of people have those classic VHS Disney tapes, now they're collector's items. In those VHS shops, those were their, call them their showpiece. Like, that's how you would know, like, I would have the high quality version of that film because they have that. They're gonna give me a copy of that, and the copy would be a standard tape with those. I think those were made up of covers, papers. Sorry, the covers were made up of paper, and you would put the cassette in, and they would take a picture of the cover, not like from the box. Like, they would take the, think of it like a scan. They would have like a small scanned copy of the front of the cassette, and they would put that picture on the video cassette. So, and oh yes, and the covers would have the rental shop's name and the logo on it. So let me give you a real life example. One of the famous ones you would hear about in my country, film shops in my country, is called Film Fair. Pretty much every kid who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, even the early 2000s, knows of the shop Film Fair. So Film Fair would have those, they would have the cassette covers, and they would have the logo of Film Fair underneath. The cassettes themselves would have the Film Fair stickers, and on top of the cover you would have the Disney or whatever movies the picture would be here. I remember my Top Gun cassette had like, film for written here, Top Gun's picture there with Tom Cruise and the thumbs up and all that. And, on the cassette side, you have the label of Top Gun. Same with all the Disney films. And in fact, for almost a decade, I used to think that is pretty much how cassettes were. That's were original cassettes. Like those were the stuff you got from company for the video shops, and these are the things you sold to the customers. It wasn't until later in 94 and 5, I believe, when I discovered, no, those are actually fakes. Those are the original ones. The ones that the companies, the video rental shops have as their showpieces. Those are the things I can actually have for myself. I have digressed a bit, but I felt that detail was necessary. It is a story after all. This way, at least, you get to know how movie culture is kind of different across the countries and our different experiences of it. Number 3, the type of films. Number 3, I believe I watched my first Star Wars movie was around 88 or 89. It was definitely pre-90s, I remember that. But it was definitely late 80s. And the first Star Wars movie that I watched, I didn't know the name of it, but it had Luke Skywalker in his black garb. And I remember the most memorable, the first scene that like got to me, right? That's the scene that got seared into my head. The little robot throws this object, arcs over. Yeah, the little robot throws this object, and the black-clad hero grabs it. Bzzz, it's a green beam, and I'm like, damn, that's a green laser sword. And yeah, I was a kid, and I was blown away. That movie seared 3 scenes into my head. That lightsaber one, then the Millennium Falcon and Wedge Antilles fight inside the Death Star, Darth Vader's mask opening and seeing his scene, and yeah, I'm not going by order, I'm just going by how I remember them. And oh yeah, no, that was later. Yeah, these are the 3 scenes, I would say. There was no 4th scene. These are the 3 scenes that got seared into my, even if there was a 4th scene, I don't remember at the moment. So, but yeah, these are the 3 scenes I can distinctly say since my childhood, since pre-90s. Like I remembered a time also through other different movie patterns. Like I know I watched this movie during this time. I remember these scenes before this time. These 3 scenes have been with me since I was a child. Like I cannot remember much. As far as back as I remember, these memories are right there. So, Return of the Jedi was the first Star Wars movie I saw. I didn't understand the hell of it. I understood some gist of it. I knew the bad guy and the good guy were fathers, and the ultimate bad guy was an asshole. What else? I love the Millennium Falcon. That ship, there was something cool about it. And I don't know if it would be odd, but I liked Wedge Antilles from before. Like, in that one, Wedge Antilles had a lot of action scenes. And I liked that. What else? Empire Strikes Back I saw next. And that was straight up in 1990. And the main reason I remember Empire is because of the asteroid belt run. When I saw, oh no. 2 things, right, my apologies. Empire is always remembered to me for 2 things. The asteroid belt run, not the Hoth. I didn't find the Hoth battle. I found the Hoth battle great, I'll be honest. It is great, but the asteroid run was just something else. And as you heard before, I am Millennium Falcon. And the other one was, no, I am your daddy. That twist blew my mind. I mean, a lot of people will go like, wait, but you watched Return of the Jedi first. Yeah, I was a kid. I didn't really remember shit. To me it was like, oh my God, that's how the revelation came. Whoa! Loved it. I didn't even know how the thing went. I just knew that I fucking didn't understand the story. In fact, the way I watched Star Wars, till I watched the entire trilogy in once. You know what? I'm digressing. I'll just go directly. So yeah, when I watched that, during that time, my mindset was after watching Empire, this is awesome. I love the film, but I fucking do not understand Western storytelling. It is so oddball. It is so all over the place. Which is forward, which is back. What happened when? Yeah, yeah, I know. But anyway, that's how I was back then. Then my sister was born. That was in 91. In 1991, we went to Thailand, specifically Bangkok, with another family. Like, my sister was born, so my mom wanted to go, I don't know, honeymoon, holiday, whatever. My dad had some holiday as well. He came back from overseas trip, and one of his friends with his family. So he had an older daughter. She was like, I believe, 5 years older than me, and that's it. We went to visit Thailand, and one of the days we stayed there for 1.5 weeks, and one of the days they were going to go out shopping. They were going to take the kids. They had another young kid as well, and me and her had nothing to do, so we stayed in the hotel room, and they were going to show Star Wars. We ended up watching episode 4, and what seared into my head from episode 4? The entire Death Star run. Yeah. The entire Death Star run from top to bottom. I mean the end. From beginning till end. It got seared into my whole brain. And any other scene that got seared into my brain? Oh yeah, the classic. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. I like that scene, like, whoa. I wouldn't say whoa, it's just, honestly speaking, you know what, until this video essay, this video thing, I never even actually thought about why it got seared into my head. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. Those two scenes. And that's my introduction to Star Wars. Now, where's the good part? The good part comes, you take into account that by 91, I was 9 years old. So by the time I finished watching the Star Wars trilogy, yes, I have technically watched Star Wars. But that was also during the time I didn't understand English, I didn't speak English, and I only spoke in my native language. So not only did I not understand a single word they said other than that line, no, I am your father. And yeah, I just loved the visuals of the film. Like, to me, Western movies were foreign films. I didn't really particularly understand them, but I enjoyed watching them. They were very entertaining to watch. I could even get the story through their visual storytelling. And whenever a movie could tell me their stories visually more, I would always consider that a better film. Why? Because it's doing its job right. It's a film. It's supposed to tell stories visually, and it is doing that. Star Wars was one of those primary films that did that for me. Number one is Jaws. Like, nothing has a clearer story than Jaws. Like, that's a different story. Digressing, but back to Star Wars. Yeah, that was it. Then my dad got transferred to Malaysia in 94. 94, 95, 96. I was in a school that spoke completely English, so I had to learn English. And now I had the grasp of the English language. I could read, I could write, I could speak in English. Not fluently, but decent enough. And then came 97. What happened in 97? Or was it the end of 96? See, I don't remember these parts clearly, but I do remember it was during that time. It was after Independence Day. Star Wars Special Edition got released. For those who remember living through that experience, Sorry, I had to take another break. I realized my not memory, I time frame, memory time frame wasn't fully put into place. As I was remembering, I was taking a lot of time and I didn't really want to fill up the video with gaps. So I decided I will stop it, think it, clear my head, then come back and record it. So here I am. So let's break it down, the introduction thing. I sucked at English. Because of that, I failed in my tests and stuff. Because of that, I wasn't really allowed to watch the Star Wars trilogy when they showed on TV. And because of my flunking and everything, I had to do extra classes after school. During that time, I was allowed to watch few TV shows, like, how do I say this? I was allowed to watch X-Files. I was allowed to watch Spider-Man the animated series because it happened on the weekend and I used to watch it with my sister. The X-Files, it's simply because of the timing. The day and the time slot it showed, there was nothing for me to do. My studies would automatically finish before that. Dinner would be done during that time as well. Plus my mom and dad liked watching X-Files, so there was no reason to kick me out. So that's how I would watch that show. And the third show, oh yeah, Star Trek Voyager. Catherine Janeway. So anyway, that's a complete separate story for Star Trek. This is just to tell you, give you a reference point so that you know what I used to watch, what I was allowed to watch. These are the three things I was allowed to watch. Oh yeah, and in the afternoon there was one cartoon that I was allowed to watch, and you can judge any way you watched. It was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yes. Now moving on. During the December time, me and my friends, during the extra classes and everything, we got close. And we decided we would hang out on weekends, right? Arcade movie, don't really remember how we came up with the plan or whatever, but essentially it was, we could watch movies together. If we hung out and watched movies together, my parents couldn't really say anything. Yes, my parents, I also had to tell my parents that we would mainly spend time in the arcade, and somehow they're okay with me spending money in the arcade, but not money in films. Go figure. But anyway, it was an advantage and opportunity that I could take, so I took. We would hang out on weekends, and I don't know which first movie we started with. I think the first one we started with was Star Trek First Contact. Anyway, essentially the final result of it was, every weekend when we would hang out, I would watch 2 films instead of 1. That's it. And then the finals happened. Didn't do too well. 96 passed. 97 came. Right. In 97, the special editions were getting released. January, A New Hope. February was Empire Strikes Back. March was Return of the Jedi. The problem was, they didn't really specifically say when in March it was going to get released, and I didn't know how much of free time I was going to have. The first priority was saving up money for the tickets. My parents were not really going to pay for it. So how did I save up for the tickets? Lunch money. That's literally it. I would not eat lunch. I would come home and eat extra and stuff like that, but I would save up my lunch money, and over a course of time, I would save up money for 2 tickets. So yeah. Oh yeah, now comes the irony part. It was a lot of... Episode 4 and 5 did not require a lot of planning. Episode 4 and 5 was one of those friend days. We were supposed to go out on the weekends. Every one of us were gonna go and watch episode 4 and 5. It was Star Wars. Last moment, 2 of them came up with issues. The 2 friends I was gonna go with, Siddharth and Satya. One of them had to go early, Siddharth. So he couldn't watch Empire. And Satya, he couldn't watch two movies. I don't remember what exactly was, but he could only watch Empire. He was gonna come in late. So I had to make a choice what I was gonna do. Siddharth, oh wait, no. Siddharth was fine with either. Huh. And I had to make a choice. And I made a choice that I wanted to watch both. So that's how the thing got even. Siddharth and Satya weren't really too close with each other. And so yeah, he was like, okay, fine, I'll watch what do you call it? I'll watch A New Hope with you, and he'll watch Empire with me. So that's how it ended up for me. Like, one of my friend watched that one, the other one watched that one. Me, I watched both. And yeah, that was one of the best movie experiences of my life. It was everything I imagined and hoped it would be, including the bad Jabba CGI where Han walks over Jabba tick 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 like that for that joke that George Lucas thought was funny. Honestly, I didn't really laugh at that joke, but I understood it. I understood even the technical reason why they did it. I actually thought that was pretty smart back in the day. And I never really thought of it as a bad thing or a negative thing. I saw it as just a byproduct of progress. And I didn't even see it as a progress for the sake of progress. I genuinely saw it as relevant bit of progress. But again, that's my opinion. What isn't what is relevant is that experience blew my mind. That, yeah, my parents didn't know I watched two movies. My parents thought we watched some other movie. Oh no, they knew I watched the what do you call it, the Star Wars movie, and then I watched and not watched. My parents didn't know I watched two movies. They all they knew was I went to watch Star Wars, then I hanged out with my friends and played in the arcade. And to me, I went and did my regular thing. This was third month in a row and I've been going and watching two films. And yeah, watching a film, right, one of the key reasons Star Wars was an achievement, episode 4 and episode 5 was part of the same series. It was a sequel. So sequel or a series, yeah, it is a sequel, yeah. So to watch it like that, it was the first binge watching experience I've ever had. And it was a custom binge watch experience. And it set a standard for binge watch experiences. That's it. And then comes Return of the Jedi story. This one is again, I just realized a pattern in my stories, in my own life essentially. There's a cool thing I'm gonna have, like, yay, I managed to do this. Immediately it's gonna follow it up with some roundabout irony, like, ah shit, I should have waited. What do I mean by the Empire Strikes Back? What do I mean by in this story? 1 week after I finished watching the two, Return of the Jedi got released. Yeah, now you can see my hair's going, right after that my hair went like, should have waited, and I didn't, it was gonna get released this quickly. Now I have to watch Return of the Jedi. But the problem was, Return of the Jedi was on March. This was near the, oh yeah, I forgot which time, but essentially we had our exams coming again, April, and extra classes, wasn't allowed to hang out with friends again, and friends themselves didn't really want to hang out then. They themselves got busy. So anyway, during one of the extra classes, I decided I will bunk. I basically planned out a show for Return of the Jedi. It was 3 days before the exam started. I had no choice. I had to do it today or never. The shows were going to get run. The shows were ending. It was basically leaving theaters. There were not many left. So, picked one. I didn't have extra classes that day. No, wait. I just realized I did have extra classes that day. I took a note. I had it, didn't really have it signed by my dad. I forged my dad's signature, and basically it said that I was sick, or whatever the hell. I don't remember what I came up with back in the day. I had a fever or some shit. Because of that, I needed to be let go early. My principal saw it. She said, I ain't letting you go and you just stand there and then car comes and picks you up. No. If your dad thinks you're that sick, he comes and picks you up. Or he calls me directly. So that didn't work. So what did I do after that? After that, I decided, screw it. I had plans for that. Honestly speaking, I did. Before that, I checked out, is there any way to get out of school? Our school, where our classes happened, there was a wall separating us from the road. The road was here, the wall's here, the schools are here. So I would peek over the wall and I would see the road. It curved like this and went. On here, you would have our school. Here was where I could peek, and on the curve, it went and hit the main road. I had to jump here, go through the curve to the main road, and then I was free. I could go anywhere. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I was at the main gate. The principal said, you can't go. I came in. I walked all the way to our back of the school. That's where the gate is. I looked up. Nobody's around. The entrance is very far away, so they couldn't really see me. Dropped the bag. Jumped over. How did I jump? Ran, grabbed, got up, turned, came down, took my backpack, walked all the way. And once I hit the main street, I was free. There was nobody to stop me. And about the money, I knew how much the taxi fare cost. Knew it from before. Have done this before. Knew how much the ticket cost, obviously. So everything was planned. Like, I'm just gonna go. Oh yeah, forgot to mention. No, you know what? That's gonna come later. So anyway, I knew I was gonna go take a cab, change my clothes in the cab, and then go there, watch the movie, pick another cab, come back to school, change clothes, get picked up by my dad's car, go to dad's office, meet up with him, and go home. Or my dad might come from office to pick me up directly, and then we go home. Either way, I'm golden. What I didn't expect was I'm gonna end up meeting another friend of mine on the main street. He saw me, he's like, hey, I thought you had extra classes. And I'm like, shit. So we end up talking and everything, and he has never seen Star Wars. So of course then came the question, what kind of a buddy would I be if I didn't show my buddy Star Wars? So I told him, okay, I'm gonna go watch Return of the Jedi. You wanna come watch with me? And he's like, cool, I've never seen any of these. Like, well, you'll enjoy it. And yeah, we took a cab. I changed my school shirt and my sneakers in the cab, and we got dropped off at the mall, went up, got Return of the Jedi's tickets, watched it together. He was blown away. I loved it. When Lando Calrissian's, the entire Millennium Falcon scene happened, and the dish got taken away. Catharsis. It was a life goal done. At that point, I realized that was a life goal that I finished. Since I had seen Star Wars when I was 9, backwards, like Return of the Jedi, those scenes got seared into my head, and I needed to finish that experience. In 97 April, I got to finish that experience. And those came from choices. Like, I made choices to become a Star Wars fan. So yeah, that's and after that, what happened? After that, we came out, we talked about it. I laughed at the fact that one of them watched four, one of them watched 5, and this one watched 6. And the funniest thing is, these two didn't really hang out with each other. So yeah, after that we took a cab, came back to the main road. He got dropped off and he left. I came back to the road to the school entrance. There was one of my classmates waiting there. She saw me and she's like, "Where did you come from?" I'm like, "Oh, I went there to get some food." She didn't believe me. We just talked for a little while. Then her car came. She left. My dad came with the car, got up. We went home directly. He asked, "How was the day?" I said, "Day was fantastic." That's my introduction to Star Wars. Like how I got introduced to Star Wars. Oh, just to add a small tidbit, after that, I bought the entire novel set, the trilogy set. It came in two different colors, golden and silver. I had both. I don't know why. Oh yeah, now I know why. One of them was for keeping for myself. The other one was for having friends read them. The golden one I used to give for people to read. The silver one I used to keep for myself. They just look cooler. What else? Yeah, I just realized my story has two other parts. And I genuinely didn't really want it to make it that way, but it seems it's become this. The next part is after I come back from Malaysia to my country, when I introduce Star Wars to my best friends, my family, my cousins, everyone essentially. And the other movie that completely changed my life, Independence Day. Okay, so that was the Star Wars story. I will not make this into a trilogy. I cannot promise it, but I promise I will do my best. I will definitely try to combine my best friend and my significant other story into one. I think it will be. I genuinely think it will be. But let's see. For those who wanted this, I hope you enjoyed it. For those who didn't want it, I don't even know why you sat through it, but thank you for sitting through it. I would like to hear one of your stories I would like hearing if you have a story like this as well. I like hearing people's stories like these. So, whatever your thoughts, whatever your feelings, comment below, let me know. If you liked it, click like. If you think anybody else would like it, share it with them. If you disliked it, let me know what you disliked. And if you hated it or loved it, subscribe.